When it comes to sweet bread, my three favorites are banana bread, pumpkin bread, and zucchini bread. Well, I've already showed you how to make low-carb banana bread and low-carb pumpkin bread. So today, we're going to learn how to make zucchini bread that's not only low-carb, but it's keto-friendly and diabetic-friendly, which makes me love it all the more. And if you want printable versions of this, then check out my website at janetsdeliciouslowcarbkitchen.com. You can find a printable version of this and other goodies there for you. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to hit that little notification bell. That way you could be notified every time I put out a new video. And don't forget to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to show you how to make a sweet butter that is perfect for this bread, or any bread for that matter. When you just want a little bit of a sweet taste on your bread, it's perfect. And while we do that, let's get cooking. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Line a 9x5 or 8x4 loaf pan with parchment paper. Now I'm using a 9x5 loaf pan, but I will give you a heads up that this will not give you a very tall loaf of bread, which for me is perfect because when it comes to sweet bread, I don't like big pieces, I just like small pieces. But if you're wanting a little taller loaf, then use an 8x4 inch loaf pan instead of a 9x5 inch loaf pan. But as I said, for me here, I'm using the 9x5 loaf pan. So once you preheat your oven and line your loaf pan, in a large mixing bowl, combine 2 large room temperature eggs. Again, as I always say, room temperature eggs. They mix in easier. A ½ cup of oil of your choice. I'm using canola oil. You can use any oil you want. Just remember, some oils have stronger flavors than others. You want one that does not have a strong flavor. So something like avocado oil or olive oil would not be your best choice because those have very strong dominant flavors. Something like canola oil or coconut oil, something to that effect. Something that is a light flavored oil. 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Whisk these all together until they're fully combined. Make sure you whisk really well. You want to make sure those egg yolks are all broken up and fully blended together. Add 1 cup of monk fruit sweetener or sweetener of your choice. 1 teaspoon of baking powder. A ½ teaspoon of salt. And 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon. The amount of the ground cinnamon can be adjusted according to your taste. I like cinnamon, so I like my flavor to have a good amount of a cinnamon flavor to it. If you don't want an extremely strong taste of cinnamon, then you can always adjust this according to your taste. For me, 1 tablespoon is perfect, but it's up to you how much of a cinnamon taste you want in your bread. Whisk these all together until they're all fully combined. Make sure you get the cinnamon really nice and smooth in there. You don't want any chunks. So make sure you whisk well, get all the seasonings fully combined. Add 1½ cups of almond flour, 3/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Yes, you need this. This is your binding agent. This will help your bread from not falling apart on you. And 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Mix these all together until they're fully combined. Use a wooden spoon to stir this with, not your whisk, because the batter will start to get a little bit thick. So if you use a whisk, it's going to stick inside your whisk. So make sure you use your wooden spoon for this part. Mix it all together really well. Make sure everything's fully combined. Add 1 cup of shredded zucchini and gently fold it into your batter. Make sure you are gentle. You don't want to stir really rough because then you'll end up smushing the zucchini and it can release more water, which can make your batter more runny. So just gently fold it in. Also, if you want to, you can add a ½ cup of nuts of your choice or a ½ cup of sugar-free chocolate chips if you want a little bit more of an add-in and a little bit more of a bulk to your bread. It's up to you. Personally, I like it with just zucchini only and no extra add-ins. But If you want extra add-ins, you can go ahead and throw those in right now and fold them in gently. Let the batter sit for about 3 minutes. This just gives the xanthan gum a chance to absorb the fluids a little bit and to start getting active so it can really hold together your batter. Once it's sat for 3 minutes, then give it a nice gentle stir just to make sure that everything is combined. Pour it into your prepared loaf pan. Use a spatula to even out the top. You want it spread nice and even through the whole loaf pan. You don't want one side bigger than the other, so make sure you even it out nicely. Bake it for about 1 hour or until a tester comes out clean. Now remember, everyone's oven is different, so you might want to check it at around 50 minutes just to make sure, because as I said, everybody's oven is different. Even though you set them on the same temperature, they still can cook differently for one reason or the other. So make sure you check it at the 50-minute mark and then go from there as how much longer you need. For me, an hour is perfect. You want it to be a little golden and crunchy on the side, but still nice and soft in the middle. Once it's done baking, let it cool in the pan for about 15 minutes. Once it's cooled for 15 minutes, use a butter knife and gently loosen the edges of the bread from the sides of the pan. Make sure you go gentle. The bread's still going to be pretty delicate because it is hot still, and I've talked before how low carb bread is very delicate when it's hot. So make sure you're careful and just go slowly to loosen the edges. Once the edges are loose, let the bread cool in the pan for an hour. Again, this is a must. You have to let it cool in the pan before you turn it out to a wire rack or a serving platter, because you really want to make sure that all those ingredients set together. Low carb bread is fragile, so you want to make sure you handle it with care. So let it cool in that pan for at least an hour. Once it's cooled for an hour, then turn it onto a wire rack or a serving platter to let it cool completely. You can technically cut it right now while it's a little bit warm and put whatever butter or topping you want on it, but I find that it's best to just let it cool completely first, and then if I want it warm, then I can pop it in the microwave for 10-15 seconds to get it a little bit warm again, only because, as I said, low carb bread is just fragile when it's warm. So for me, it's best if I let it cool completely, then slice it. Then if I want it warmed, I can pop it in the microwave for a couple seconds. But it's up to you. If you want to take the chance and slice it right now while it's warm, that's up to you. But my advice is to let it cool completely. Once it's cooled completely, slice off a piece, put it on a plate. If you want to warm it, put it in the microwave for 10 to 15 seconds or until it's just lightly warm. Top it with some butter, or you can just eat it just by itself. It's nice and soft and tasty just by itself without even anything on it. To me, it's great both ways. So it's up to you whether you want to top it with some butter or not, and eat and enjoy. For the sweet butter, in a small bowl or airtight container, add 1/4 cup of soft butter. Make sure it is soft, not melted. You want it soft but still firm. You want to be able to mix it, but you don't want it to turn into a watery mess. So just soft. Up to 1 tablespoon of honey. Now I know honey is not technically on the keto diet, but the only way that this would knock you out of ketosis is if you ate the whole thing in one setting, which you would not do. But if you are really worried about it, you can use brown swerve in place of the honey, so it's up to you. Also, you can adjust the amount of honey or brown swerve depending on how sweet you like the taste of your sweet butter. I will warn you that the 1 tablespoon of honey will make it taste very sweet. So if you don't want it that sweet, you can always readjust the honey or the brown swerve to the amount of sweetness that you want. I would start out with maybe a half tablespoon or even less and just kind of work your way up to however sweet you want the butter to taste, because I will tell you that the 1 tablespoon is very sweet. So start out with less. You can always add more, because if you add more, you can't take away less. Also add in 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon and about an 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg. Then use a fork and fully mix it together until it's fully combined and smooth. Now, if you are using the brown swerve instead of the honey, you will still probably have a little bit of a gritty texture just because the brown swerve doesn't dissolve as well unless it's heated, which you're obviously not going to be doing that because you'll melt your butter. So if you are using the brown swerve instead of the honey, expect a little bit of a gritty texture, but your main thing is you want to make sure that there's no lumps of butter and that the cinnamon and the nutmeg get fully distributed all the way through every part of the butter. And store it in an airtight container in your fridge until you're ready to use it. It'll keep for about up to a week. I mean, technically you probably can keep it longer than that, but about a week is the max that I would suggest keeping it for. And there you go. Gluten-free keto zucchini bread with sweet butter. Eat and enjoy. And that's our recipe of the day. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like and the subscribe button. Leave me a comment if you want to. Let me know if there's any recipes that you'd like to learn how to make, and I'll do what I can to get those out there for you. And as always, keep cooking.